Welcome to our little podcast, Hollywood Cats, a podcat about cat stories, cat care tips, and just a fun time to chat about cats. Hollywood Cats is hosted by Holly Meowie, president of the LA Cat Club, a not-for-profit cat rescue, and actress on numerous television shows, including currently as Beautiful Brenda on Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network nationally. Hollywood Cats is also hosted by Mark Rawlings, fellow cat lover and cat daddy, keeping the dream alive talking about cats. And now, from the Sunset Strip in Hollywood, here are Holly and Mark, your Hollywood Cats.
We are back with another Hollywood Cats podcast, and we'd like to welcome Holly Meowie. Hey, Holly.
Hey, they call me Meowie Yellow.
Hey.
I love that song.
It's a great way to start your podcast, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, well, if you're first time joining us, we're nothing more than a podcast about cats, and it's obviously very fun in spirit, and we cover typically a news story, and then typically some sort of medical thing as well, or maybe to trim or whatever. And today you want to stay tuned because we're going to talk about diarrhea, and who wouldn't want to miss that? So
yeah. Right.
Okay. We're going to open our podcast today talking about declawing, and Holly and I were under the impression, we're based in California, that this was the first state that completely made it illegal for cats to be declawed, and that is not the case. It is actually New York, and it just happened. So we, here in California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and 6 other cities, but the entire state of New York, and we must applaud them, says no more declawing in their state.
Yeah, I made a meow steak when, we did another podcast a few episodes back, and we talked about how California was the first. And that I was so proud of my state being, no decline. But it's just a few cities in California. So I wanted to touch base back on that because actually New York beat us. They're the most humane.
Okay, so we applaud them. Yeah, it was interesting. We talked about this in another podcast, and there's both sides, and there's even veterinarians that have theories on this. But what do they say? It's the equivalent of cutting off at like the knuckles.
The knuckle of a human,
person.
yeah. And cats can't even, defend themselves anymore. They can't, cats rely on their claws to do a lot of things. And even though people don't want their furniture scratched or anything like that, the cats actually, it affects their behavior, and they start using their mouth instead of and they will bite you. A lot of the cats that we get in at the Cateau that are boarded there that are declawed because they're from other states, they literally bite and they act out because they don't have their nails, and it's terrible. It's just such a mean thing to do to your baby, your fur baby.
I mean, you've got a bunch of cats. I've got 4, and I've not really had that much of a problem. I mean, certain fabrics on couches are definitely conducive to scratching by cat, but others are not.
Yeah, so velvet is the way to go.
Velvet's the way to go.
Velvet. I have, I just actually got a new couch. Some man sat on my couch actually and broke it in half.
Oh, fantastic. That was a calling from something.
The cats didn't ruin it, but this bigger man, he sat on my couch and it literally broke in half. It was a cheap couch. I like to get cheap furniture because you never know if the cats are going to ruin it, pee on it, who knows what. And he sat on it and he actually broke it in half. So we had that couch like on a weight for a long time in the middle. And finally, my neighbor was like, I have almost a brand new couch if you would like it. And we were like, oh, yeah, please give me a new couch. And I was really worried that it was going to be not cat proof. And we put it in the house, and they've been scratching it up.
Scratching away, doing what cats do, right?
It is
going to town.
It's dynamite. Like, it doesn't have any scratch marks, and it's because it's velvet. It's like cat proof. I love it.
Fantastic.
I'm so excited about my new couch.
There you go. So all you people in New York, you might want to find out what this cat's all about, or this couch. So is it velvet? Velvet if you're in New York.
Yeah.
There's probably a contingency there that likes velvet couches. So yeah, what's wrong with that?
They're
and
beautiful.
Your cats will think it's
and the only thing is you have to lint roll them. The fur doesn't slide off really that easily. Kind of got to lint roll those. But yeah, it's better than cutting your cat's hands off.
Exactly. So yay for New York, and we applaud you.
Yay!
Thank you very much. Okay, well, the moment we've all been waiting for, cat diarrhea. And we, I was going over some notes on this before we got started, and I was like, this just sounds like something Holly would just know off the top of her head a lot about the subject matter. So it's, they're like any animal. They're going to get sick occasionally. What do you do about it?
Well, a lot of younger kitties get diarrhea, like kittens and stuff, because they have candida and other things in their feces, which are like parasites. Parasites cause diarrhea. Tapeworms cause diarrhea. Changing a cat's food causes diarrhea.
That one for sure. That seems like every time.
Yeah. And before, I am all about home remedies because vets are extremely expensive, and why put the cat through that if a home remedy would work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anytime any of my kitties or fosters or kittens I take in or kitties at the Cateau get diarrhea, I like to give them the shredded chicken mixed with pumpkin. So you go to your store and you buy pumpkin with no sugar. So make sure it's not one of those pumpkin fillers that you use for like Thanksgiving and stuff, because those have a lot of sugar in them. Make sure it's just pure pumpkin. That's the only ingredient, pure pumpkin. You mix that with shredded chicken, maybe even a little rice, and that should clear it up if it's not a parasite or something worse. If that doesn't clear it up, then always go to your veterinarian and bring us a stool sample, and then that will tell you if your kitty has parasites and needs to go on antibiotics and stuff like that. Because having diarrhea, the cat can't hold it and may miss the litter box, and you might have little diarrheas all over your house.
Fantastic. Yeah,
and it literally sounds like cat in the hat has like a massive
did shat.
Yeah, did shat all over.
That was too easy.
It has like massive farts come out. It does sound pretty crazy when your cat gets this. Like, you can hear it like all over your house, like echoing farts.
Yeah.
And
such a small animal will let out such a thing, right?
And it's like very soupy and very and it gets all over their paws. It is a complete mess if you have a kitty that has this issue. So
do you typically find it in the box, or does it floor, or how do you know? And especially if you have multiple cats.
It's usually in the box, and actually it's kind of hard to see if the cat covers it. But a lot of kitties are in pain, and they will lick themselves after because they have a burning sensation, and they'll lick themselves after because it's uncomfortable for them. And they won't actually cover it, and you'll be able to see it just hanging out on top. But some kitties that cover it, it's kind of hard to see, and it might look like pee if it clumps.
Yeah.
So you always kind of have to look in the box. I'm seriously a poo-poo professional at this point. Like, I know I look for worms, I look for, and so if the clump doesn't just look like a liquid that's clear, it will look kind of like yellowish, or that means they have it, the diarrhea. And you gotta start with the chicken. You gotta do the remedies that I talked about, and hopefully it'll do itself.
What about over the counter, or something you would buy at a pet store?
No.
Really?
Well, I would take your kitty to the vet. If the chicken and the rice and the pumpkin don't work, that means there's parasites, and it has to be killed with antibiotics at that point. I mean, I don't know this scientific talk for this, but and not to mention dehydration.
Oh yeah, of course.
Not to mention, but I'm going to mention it. You have to make sure your kitty is getting tons of fluids, drinking lots of water, putting water in its wet food mixed in to get water
just
while
like
it's
people.
eating. Yeah. And if they're not eating the food with a lot of water, they will drink like chicken broth. That's also another good tip to do, because if they're pooping out lots of liquids, it's depleting their hydration as well, and that's very bad.
So what do you do for the finicky cat? Because I think of one of my cats for sure that will only eat his food. He doesn't care about anything else.
You mean like the dry food?
Yeah, that's all he'll eat, period. There's no table scraps, there's nothing. So, trying to bring a home remedy on how do you possibly do that if they're not...
You might have to take a syringe of water and force the water.
Interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately. I hate doing that, but if your cat's that finicky and won't drink, your kitty drinks a lot of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or not? Okay.
Yeah, but
so
I'm just saying
that.
hypothetically if there was one that didn't.
Yeah, or won't eat the pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have problems with some kitties not liking the pumpkin. If you mix the pumpkin with chicken broth, try to maybe mix with fish juice, like tuna juice. Even though tuna juice is pretty salty, it depletes your hydration also.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to try the home remedies, and if it doesn't become more solid, then it's time to take a trip to the veterinarian and spend the moolah, the meowla.
Well, I think we've covered that topic ad nauseum, so we're good to go. Well, thank you very much for your insight, and just one of those things got to talk about in life, right? Even for the kitties.
Yeah, the diarrhea.
Yeah. So where can we find you on social media, Holly Meowie?
Well, I am the lacatclub.org. You can see what kitties we have for adoption. There's also all of the events that we have and stuff like that. The LA Cat Club on Twitter. But LA Cat Club on Instagram. LA Cat Club on Facebook. And I'm just Holly Meowie, meowing at you every day on all my social medias at Holly
Google
Meowie.
that and go grab one of those, right?
Yeah,
I got you. Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, next week, very exciting. Really kind of a cute story about how a cat used up his 9th life and then went on to be a nurse. That'll be on the next Hollywood Cats podcast. And thank you very much for listening. For Holly Meowie, I'm Mark Rawlings. See you next time.
From Hollywood, you've been listening to Hollywood Cats, stories and facts about cats. Be sure to join us next time for more with Holly and Mark. And don't forget our website, HollywoodCats.com. That's Hollywood and cats ending in Z. HollywoodCats.com. And thanks for joining us on Hollywood Cats.